Hello Avengers, today is a big day of the first major update for Marvel's Avengers 2.3. So I'm gonna give you a full rundown of everything that's up with this update and show you a little bit how it looks. Now the biggest change is the War Table rework, where Nick Fury has returned in the helicarrier and he will be giving you out the missions this time. With it, there's a brand new structure of missions for new starting players. No longer players will have to do, for example, the Reigning Supreme mission chain. Instead, everything has been reworked with Nick Fury. So one of the most significant changes of this war table, no longer missions will disappear in the war table. Drop zones and threat sectors will always remain on the table, and you don't have to wait every 15 minutes or so for the war table to refresh to see if they give them to you. Another thing is villain sectors will always remain on the war table. No longer you have to do the daily pickup in order to be able to play villain sectors. However, there will still be mission chains for you to pick up, so you can have a chance at exotic rewards on villain sectors, as well as elite villain sectors that rotate weekly. But you'll be grabbing the mission chains essentially, but the actual villain sectors will still remain on the war table, and you can do them over and over and over again, with a low chance of getting an exotic from them. Another significant change is flashback missions. Flashback missions now have a logo, and they have a specific focused type of mission which will only be threat sectors. So it will have a chance to give you loot specific from the threat sector type of loot. So no longer there will be flashbacks that are villain sectors, because all the villain sectors are now available, so you don't need to go to flashbacks to do them. On top of all these reworked mission chains, there are new missions on the future Wastelands. There's two brand new drop zones there, a threat sector, a villain sector against Taskmaster, and a vault. In another separate video, I'll give you a full rundown of these missions. Essentially, all these changes for the whole war table rework is to make it more easier to follow and understand for players starting out in the Avengers initiative, how to get engaged in the whole leveling aspect and gear grind aspect of the game. So in terms of the loot changes for these missions, the villain sectors will now drop what is called the Classic Power Set. The Classic Power Set is a set of gear that can only be found in Elite High. It will still remain in High, but you can now get them in villain sectors. On top of all this, you have a chance of getting an exotic version of them. These sets will also have a few changes in terms of the perks that you can gain from them. I will be posting the links of all the blogs and the patch notes in the description of the video below, so you can check out specifically those perk changes. Another big significant change is the ability to earn the exotics from Last Avenger Standing in Elite Vault missions. The Tactical Power Set, they're both together in Vault missions. You can earn the legendary, but you also have a chance of getting the exotic version when you complete an elite vault. So similar to villain sectors, you'll be competing for a chance to getting an exotic from the mission chains and from just regrinding the vault itself. And one big significant change about this regarding vaults is that you no longer have to grab them through the shield cache and all that stuff. You don't have to do any of that. You'll be able to grab them from the shield factions, and then they will remain always on your war tables. Lastly is the Apex Power Set. As I mentioned earlier, this is the set from threat sectors of priority missions, and it will be part of the same set for flashback missions, because they will also be focused to be threat sectors. So basically, flashbacks will have the legendary version of the exotic priority missions, and potentially you might have a chance to get an exotic version on the flashback version. I will likely be doing a new exotics guide as I explore all of these versions and I start to grind for them, to give you a better idea how it all feels and what are the chances and all that. So stay tuned for that. So other significant changes with this update is that checkpoint rewards will be available for the Discordant Sound raid. You will be able to earn rewards from certain major encounters in the raid instead of only getting the rewards at the very end of the raid. There are 4 instances in the raid that you will be able to get an award of gear. With the mission chain here, you can see where exactly to give you a reward. Of course, it still follows the same pathways where it's per hero, per week, but you can still gain stuff on reruns. On top of this, you'll be able to earn units after you complete the raid as well. similarly to the Omega level threat. Another significant change is the Mega Hives will now be hero bound, so you can do Mega Hives with different heroes every week. Other minor significant improvements is overall to matchmaking. Quick match will be more available, quick match players will match together, and groups can now queue together for quick match. Another thing they are adding is a voting system. So this time players can remove a player. Players have to vote together to agree if they want to kick a player. The voting only happens if everyone unanimously votes yes on that player. It can't be just one vote or two votes. Lastly, there are going to be some overall improvements to melee buff. They're still looking into more of working with comics, and there's an adjustment to damage buff in this update. In the adjustments, what they do is remove the critical chance and impact from damage buff. However, the 65% increase of damage still remains, and the duration of the damage buff still remains. However, the known store of Lethal Will is receiving a buff. It will now give 45% critical chance to all attacks, and its duration will be increased by 2 seconds. And that's it for the quick rundown of all the patch notes and fixes and changes coming with this update. I will be doing multiple videos going all over the things individually, but I wanted to give you a full showcase and rundown reminder of everything that's with this update. And in case I miss anything that you're wondering about, be sure to check out the description below where I put all the blogs that details everything about the patch and the patch notes. See you next time, Avengers!